Welcome to the How Did That Work Out podcast, where we share, explore, as well as inspect internally and externally a variety of our life situations as well as others, all for the purpose of answering how did that work out. I'm your host, Graham.
And I'm your host, Mike J.
Here we go. To your question, yesterday was good. I worked and I took a nice long bike ride. I've, I've been finding a couple times that I'll find people in our neighborhood. There's a small handful of trails, but then there's this one trail network that is just bananas, and it's so fun, and it's really made me step up my biking game. And now I go out there and I try to beat my time. Not every time, because I'm human and inconsistent, but when I'm having a good day, yesterday I did my best time out there, and I keep finding like strays, like people who got out here, but they're not sure how to get back where they came from. So yesterday was my second gig as a trail Sherpa. where I'm basically escorting people out of our neighborhood. they're like, hey, and I'm really, I'd say, cordial on the trails.
Okay.
A lot of people get into aggro mode and they're listening to Black Death speed metal and getting all, amped up, typically guys.
Right. Yeah.
And, that's sometimes me, but not when you interact with other people. You have to be a decent human being. I'm always real friendly, try to see if, hey, is this someone I might talk to later if I see them, and you never know, you're out there by yourself too. So
right.
Something happens to you, you want to extend some goodwill. So both these people had been like waiting on somebody, or they didn't know how to get out. And it's nice to ride with other people. You learn stuff too.
Right. Sure.
So I'm like, yeah, come on, I'll show you. Do you want to go the most direct route or the funnest route? And one guy wanted to go the funnest route, and one lady wanted to go the most direct route. And it was good. It was good.
Well, didn't it used to be the code, though, the outdoors, where you were a good Samaritan to others? Like, if you're camping and, somebody forgot their stove, you'd offer up your stove, to let them cook, or you'd, help them hook up their camp or whatever it was. I used to camp when I was younger, grew up in California. So we used to go to the mountains a lot. When I was young, my uncles would take me, my dad would take me.
Mm-hmm.
And you always kind of helped each other out. And, but now it sounds like the outdoor adventure has turned into a singular, an individual, space where you rage. Your workout is based on rage,
right.
Rather than really appreciating that you're outside and that you're, among nature. And I would think that if you've got music blaring in your ears because you want to get that intense workout, that you're foregoing all the other stimuli going on while you're on the ride. So in other words, the ride, the pedaling, right, is the exercise. The music is, also the motivator, but it also, I think, drowns out a lot of what you really would be outside to ride for. Am I off base on that?
It's specific to the individual. So bike riding outdoors to me is supplemental to an indoor workout, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely with purpose, because I used to go to the gym 3 to 5 times a week, and then with the pandemic, being indoors with anybody was deadly. So I got back into biking again, and biking kind of has to happen outside. You can do the stationary bikes, but again, you're stuck back inside.
Right.
Yeah. For me, the intention isn't to, connect with nature. It's fun to be out in nature. You got the fresh air, you got the views, and you're dealing with like real terrain.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know if you could compare it to camping. Those are two very different, like intents and approaches.
Yeah. I just meant more like, when you're outdoors, you're like you are right now, you're being more of a helpful sort. Whereas some other people are like, hey, I'm in my bubble, don't come near me. You can hear the music coming out of their earphones. But I look at it more like, well, if you're going to basically take your ride outside, I mean, some music as background is one thing, but when you're like I mean, I'm just basing it off of what you said, like, you can hear people with the metal music going through their earphones and whatnot. I just think that, well, if you want to do that, then get a Peloton. Now if you want to put on some music that obviously motivates you, but you still take time during your ride to appreciate the surroundings, appreciate the outside. Whereas I think a lot of people want to go retreat into their own world and forget that they're outside, even though they are outside getting their workout. So if you want to have music blaring, get a Peloton. If you want to have some light music and you want to enjoy the scenery, then I think your approach is better in that regard. I just think everything has its place, and I think some people really miss out on a lot of opportunity when they blare their music and they want to go for that really rage-filled, intense ride, where all they see is the road in front of them and all they hear is the music pumping in their ears. I think you're missing out on a lot.
Yeah, maybe. I will say this: when I go for walks, it's just no devices, no reading the news, no nothing in my ear. Those are like, you want to hear all that stuff. You also want to hear if someone's coming up behind you.
Right. Right.
I'll be riding behind people walking, and I've got the funniest little 3-year-old bike bell, bing bing, and I'll just be hammering it, and they don't hear me. I'm like, you're doing yourself a disservice. Like, somebody could be running up on you, a bear,
right?
Or in this neck of the woods, a mountain lion.
Yeah. Well, exactly. And I even see those commercials with, people have the cans on their ears, right? And they're walking down a city street, on the sidewalk and whatnot. And there's a crowd hustling and bustling. And of course the commercial, wants you to buy those headphones so that you get lost and immersed in the music and you forget the world outside of you. But when you're in a big city, you don't have that luxury to forget the world outside of you, because if you do that, then that makes you a target, right? So then, rather than enjoying the music, you're going to be, on the ground, mugged, and wishing you had, paid attention to your surroundings instead of getting lost in your music.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, again, time and a place. If you're sitting on a train or a subway or something, because your back is facing something that, and your eyes are facing forward, so you can at least still have some, way of knowing. But when you're walking down the street and your back is totally vulnerable, and then you've got music going on and you're just floating on air, well, that's to me, that's not a good thing.
Yeah, I think time and place you nailed it with that. I think it's, discretionary, situational. It's not black or white, yes or no, this or that. It's use your best judgment.
Right.
Which you hear all your life. And as we find out, everyone's best judgment. One man's best judgment is another man's worst judgment.
For more HDTWO content and the latest show updates, like and follow our Facebook page, HDTWO Show, Instagram account at HDTWO Show, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at HDTWO Show. Don't forget to tell your friends.